this goes to our Junior Achievement Partnership, and they work so well with our students and our programs. So at this time, we're going to turn it over to Junior Achievement and Ms. Hannah Green.
All right, good morning. Well, happy Earth Day. That is why we are here today, to celebrate the amazing planet that we live on and some of the wonderful initiatives that are happening here in your hometown in Palm Beach County. So we are so excited to have the commissioner to share some of the great things happening. And he also has a very cool story, so I'm really excited for you guys to hear from him today. So Earth Week for this year, the theme is Invest in Your Planet, which I think is a perfect theme because it also relates perfectly to junior achievement. And what we do is we help students just like you learn about three main things: financial literacy, work readiness, and entrepreneurship. And in any field that you go into, there's always going to be something that you can do to invest in your planet. So I hope today you learn different ways that you can take with you into the future, especially for those of you that are seniors and graduating very soon and you're entering the adult world. And even as students, there are still things you can do every single day. We want to do a thank you to our sponsors, Hayward and Waste Management, for sponsoring this week-long initiative. And we also want to give a very special thank you to our partners, the International WeLoveU Organization. Giovanni Estrada is going to say a few words from them right now. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone? Good. So happy Earth Day. This week we've had an amazing series of someone who's working in the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, some professors, someone who actually works in the White House got to speak throughout the whole week. So it's been very fun, very engaging. And I just wanted to quickly introduce the International WeLoveU Foundation. We've had the honor to partner with Junior Achievement, and we are associated with the United Nations Department of Global Communications. So we carry out events all throughout the world, and we have different initiatives when it comes to education, when it comes to health. Pretty much we understand the need of the community and we carry out events. So perfect theme for this week. The chairwoman, her name is Zhang Gyoja, and we believe that through a mother's love, we can really make an impact and a change throughout the world. Just when you think about a mother's role, they sacrifice so much and they are always busy, doing different activities throughout the house. In the same way, with that mindset, we believe this whole world has so many issues, but together we can come together and really make an impact. So I'm truly honored to be here today with you all, and truly an honor to even be here with the Vice Mayor. So that is a quick briefing on the International WeLoveU Foundation. This Sunday, we are hosting a cleanup at Coral Cove Beach. We'd love to invite you all, and it's going to be an amazing one. We are partnering with Loggerhead Marine Life Science Center, and Junior Achievement's going to be there, and some of the speakers and the organizations are going to be there as well. Again, truly an honor. If you want to find out more, you can visit our website at www.weloveuusa.org. And now I'm going to pass the mic over to Claudia so she can introduce the rest.
Thank you, Leah. And it's pretty funny to think when you're talking about a mother's love, and I'm getting texts from my goddaughter to see if I want my god baby this weekend. So yes, we're always texting and working, but I am thrilled to be here today with my friends. And I say longtime friend because I found an old photo of the Vice Mayor when we were doing a cleanup about 10 years ago. And I know it's 10 years ago because my daughter is in the photo and she's about 5 and she's a freshman now. So Greg has been working in the community and dedicated to our environment for many, many years. And again, that was the Great American Cleanup about 10 years ago. But he has some really cool stories. He has a really cool job right now. And even as the chair of the Solid Waste Authority, he has some really neat opportunities that I'm sure he's going to share with you. I know that you all Googled ahead of time, but you have some old school paper in front of you with his bio. So please make sure, because this is the Finance Academy, to ask about his business experience many years ago, or maybe his trip around the world. He has some really great stories about pirates and other things that he can share with you when he sailed around the world. So without further ado, I will introduce Vice Mayor Gregg Weiss.
Thank you, Claudia. And thank you all. First of all, thanks for inviting me and to be a part of your Earth Week celebration and to be in your school here today. So, So let me just ask, I want to start off because I want to know a little bit about who we're talking to this morning. So how many students in here, how many are going to be graduating shortly? How many seniors do we have here? Okay, good. How many juniors? Oh, 11th grade, not well represented. You guys, small group here today. How about sophomores? Excellent. And our freshmen, soon to be sophomores. Great. Good, good. Well, it's a pleasure to be with you today. I want to share some stories with you about sort of my journey. I want to talk about being a county commissioner and also being on the Solid Waste Authority. And then a little bit about, the way I view the world and sort of send some of my life lessons, hopefully share with you so you don't make the same mistakes that I made. You can avoid them and as you live your own lives going forward. So next question. Anyone know what we do with the trash in Palm Beach County? Anyone know where it goes? So when you put it in the garbage can, you know what happens? They pick it up and put it on the truck. Okay, so you're thinking of the where the dump is and they pile it up. That's the way it used to happen. But let me tell you, the community you live in is very forward thinking. And years ago, the Board of County Commissioners, sitting as a solid waste authority, because we sit as different boards, but it's the same people, made a commitment to the environment and to our community. And most of all the garbage that is collected in Palm Beach County now, it goes to a facility, a waste to energy facility, where it is actually burned. And that when they burn it, it creates heat, which then drives a steam generator that then produces electricity. That electricity then is used to power the plant, but we also sell it back to FPL. So it helps to power homes in our community. So it's a really great thing. So the landfill now, what goes into the landfill is ash. But even before the ash gets into the landfill, it's separated and they take the metals out of it. And those metals get sold and reused to create new items. So your trash creates energy that then helps to power our facilities in Palm Beach County. I saw a hand up yesterday.
What percentage of county waste goes to this facility?
Almost 100%.
Is there like a target goal? Do you guys have any future plans for expanding it? Or?
So there's actually 2 facilities. So when we were able to take one down for maintenance and so forth, and at times they're both online. We will be building, we're going to have to rebuild. They're about 20 years old now, so we're looking to have to rebuild them in the near future. So you'll be hearing about that, but very forward thinking. Next thing we're going to do is we're working with FDOT, the Florida Department of Transportation, to use part of our ash to go into the road beds. So we'll take that and it's going to be reused for road construction. So even less of that material is going to end up in the landfill. So it's an opportunity to really reuse. And as you know, reuse is actually better than recycling, right? So, all right. So that was interesting that gave you a little education about trash in Palm Beach County. We have the other thing to know is, we see those piles of plants and things that we cut out of our yards and leaves and all that sort of stuff. That also goes in. A lot of that gets burned. So that material doesn't end up in the landfill. And in fact, one of the issues that we have is, so we use the methane, when you compost, you create compost out in the landfill and it's piled up and put together, it creates methane that can be used to help create natural gas. Well, because we're not putting garbage into our landfill anymore, we don't have enough methane to use for some of our processes now, and we're actually having to use natural gas, which I guess it is, in one way, we're using a finite resource, which is natural gas, but we're not creating more methane. So that's also a good thing, because as you know, methane getting into the air, right, is not good for us. So you're a very forward-working community. Let's talk about another type of garbage that we have. Yes, sir.
I have a question. Have you introduced this idea to other counties?
Absolutely. In
Have
fact, people from all over the world come to Palm Beach County to see how we manage our garbage. And to take back what we're doing here to their home, some countries and other states across the United States. I serve on the Resilience Committee for the National Association of Counties. I'm one of the vice chairs. And part of what we do in that group is we share with our fellow counties across the country on what we're doing. So let's talk about another type of waste. Probably don't want to really talk much about it, but let's talk about when you flush a toilet and what happens with that material. Because you know what used to happen, right? Yeah, it went right to the ocean. That's what people used to do. They used to, in fact, in Broward County, they still have a pipe that goes right from their facilities into the ocean. In Palm Beach County, we take that material and it goes into a waste management system. They remove the solids and then they treat the liquids. And when they're done treating it, in fact, you can go out and you can visit our facility and they take that water, it goes out and they reclaim this land and they cleaned up all the invasive species and they put back natural plants. And you can go visit it and the water is perfectly clear. There's fish and animals that live in this environment. It's restored at every place. And quite frankly, that water, for all intent and purposes, is probably cleaner than most water you'll find anywhere else. It eventually goes down to the ground and gets down into the aquifer and helps to recharge our aquifer system. Yes, sir. What's done with the solids? It's okay. What's done with the solids? Good question. So the solids, this goes back now to the methane. So the solids get collected. They're brought to our waste management facility at the Solid Waste Authority, and they are dried. That's what we need to use the methane and the natural gas for, is to dry that material. It's dried, it's turned into pellets, and then it's sold as to companies that produce fertilizer. Gets shipped all across the country, helps the farms in the Midwest of the United States. So it's also reused and it doesn't go into our environment. I'm going to switch gears just a little bit because I want to tell you a little bit about what it is to be a county commissioner. So I was elected to the Board of County Commissioners, and anyone know how many county commissioners we have in Palm Beach County? We have 7. Do you know how many people we have in Palm Beach County? Well, I heard it was close, right?
1.47 million?
That's it. So we say we rounded up 1.5 million, and if you go during the season, it's probably a little bit higher. So that's about 1.5 million people, 7 county commissioners. We all represent different parts of the county. We have interesting jobs. What we really do, it's really about trying to solve problems and make decisions for our community. Things like, if we're going to build a school here, well, what do the neighbors think about that? How much traffic is that going to cause? And, is that will that all work out? So that might be a kind of item that will come in front of us. How about our tax dollars? We all pay taxes. We pay taxes whether we own our homes or whether we rent our homes. Somebody is paying a tax on that property. And that property tax comes to the Board of County Commissioners, and we're determining how we're going to spend that money. Now, I will tell you, more than almost half that money goes to the sheriff. for public safety. That's number one, too. Our number one job is making sure our community is safe, right? That everybody can go about their lives and business and be safe, but if they need help, that there's somebody there to help them. So whether it's law enforcement or fire rescue, that we have those facilities in place to make sure people are kept safe. So that's our priority number one on what we spend, but we do lots of programs on different things, anywhere from, we support a group that does film and television in Palm Beach County, all the way to making sure that we have facilities to help folks that are going through homelessness, or help with food insecurity, but to try and bring our whole community up, raise them up. And then the other thing we do is sometimes we sit as judge and jury to try and make decisions that come in front of us. The facts get brought to the Board of County Commissioners, and that's because I was just talking to one of your teachers earlier. There's a case going on that's going to be coming to us in the next, well, at this point, I don't know when it'll be here, but it had to do with the racetrack. You know, the Palm Beach International Raceway. Anybody like to drive fast cars? Yeah, a few of you do. Don't do it on the roadways though.
No, right?
Right? Only where it's safe. But here's the case. You know, you've got this really large parcel of land. It's up in the northern part of the county. It's been a raceway. It has the ability to, people can do different things with their property. So now the question is, does the Board of County Commissioners allow a change to take place that would be allow it to be used? I think the proposed purpose is to set up like warehousing for Amazon. Any of you guys order stuff off Amazon? Yeah, a few of you do? Okay. So where they would have a facility for Amazon. So that's, you know, there's a lot of people in the community that are opposed to it, and for different reasons, you know, and so we listen to the reasons why we should do one thing or another, but at the end of the day, we'll have to make a decision on whether we allow the project to move forward or we don't. And it will remain a racetrack. Now, the people who own the property could decide they don't want to have a racetrack there anymore regardless and just close it down. They don't have to have a racetrack. That's up to them. That's their private property right. So, you know, that'll come to us and we'll find out and have to deal with it. And, you know, we always hope that people can work out their differences before they get to us. It's always easier, right? If people can come together and find their own solution. But sometimes they can't, and that's when it ends up in front of us. Other times, you know, it's sort of like if somebody has a civil litigation, they disagreed about a contract. I'm sure you guys have talked about contracts and what that means. And sometimes they end up in court, and the judge has to figure out, you know, what did that contract say and what can't you do? And so that's the other another part of what we do. And then the last thing we do is when people has anybody ever had to contact government, call, you know, and use, you know, try and find something in government? Most of us don't. I mean, most of us go through our lives. We have very little contact directly with our government, but sometimes you do. You know, I had a case where people living in a condominium, this is sort of strange, but people living in a condominium didn't get along. Imagine that, you know, their neighbors, right? And so they're trying to figure out, you know, how do we sort these differences out? Well, you know, as a county commissioner, they'll reach out, and what we'll do is we'll try and get them connected to the right resources. So in this case, it might be, you know, get them connected to legal aid for legal resources, but it can range anything from animal care and control, if it's an issue revolving around animals, or it could be on, you know, something as complex as dealing with planning, zoning, and building because they're having trouble getting a building permit or something. So it's helping people find those resources and get connected with their government, and that's another thing we do in offices. Yes, sir.
So what is a problem that you think that is maybe like prevalent in maybe Palm Beach County or like in other parts of the world where it's also Palm Beach County that you think should be tackled?
Ooh, good question. So I'm going to turn it around though. Let me ask you, what do you think?
I don't know. If I'm gonna be honest, maybe,
Please be honest.
nah, I can't. I don't know. There's a lot, but,
So just think of one. Share it with me.
I would say the roads.
The roads, traffic. Okay,
Specifically pavement. Yeah. 'Cause I don't know, the roads are like in bad condition. I don't
the condition of the roads. Okay, all right, good, okay. So, we have a road plan, right? Well, maybe you didn't know that. We have a road plan. We have a 5-year road plan. We have a 20-year road plan. We work with a group, called the Transportation Planning Agency, which is made up of the county and our city governments. So we all have representatives. We sit together on a panel together to try and work out some of these things. So we make a schedule. Some things we do all together. Some of them are done just by our engineering department. So the engineering department for the county, as an example, out right out in front of your school, we were having a problem with traffic on, and I'll get back to your question about the condition of the road, but we were having problem with the way people were trying to get in line to make that right turn. And then a few years ago, did you notice, well, some of you probably weren't here yet, but those plastic poles went up, right? And to help people, direct people to make that right turn, not allow people to cut in, because that was what was happening, people were waiting the last minute. And we made that change. Somebody worked with the school district, worked with Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, and came up with a plan, and our engineering and traffic people, we came up with a plan to put those posts up. And they're still here today because it did improve. So you can look at things and you can see we can make a difference. The issue with the roadways, though, but if you see a pothole, we have to rely on the public to let us know about it. If they're in bad shape, we have to rely on the public to say, hey, there's a pothole and you're blowing up people's tires going over it, and we'll fix it. In terms of how the type of materials that are being used, as I said, we're going to be using the ash. They're experimenting with a lot of different materials, trying to reuse different things to make our road beds last longer, because they're very expensive to put into the ground, and also to make them more environmentally friendly, if you will, as well. There's been some work done in some communities where they painted the roadways white to try and keep the heat down. As you know, black absorbs heat, white reflects it. And so I got 5 minutes. Really? Oh my God. Okay, I got to get going. All right, let me switch. So they were doing that, trying to measure it, and they did lower the temperature in their downtown area. I'll give me 5 minutes, and then I'll come back to you. Okay. I want to tell you a little bit about my own conversion to conservation and how that happened. My wife and I were really fortunate. We worked in the information technology industry, and one of the things I want to leave you with today is you never know what's going to happen in the future and what the opportunities are going to be. When I was growing up, there were no desktop computers, there were no cell phones, there were no, there was no internet, none of that. But that changed when I was about your age is when the computers really started to come around. And so in 1980, I got involved in the technology industry. It was a great place to be. I was a programmer, and it allowed me to have a really incredible journey. And one of the things I was able to do, my wife and I retired in 2001. We bought a sailboat, and we went sailing for 4 years. When you're living on a boat, you learn about conservation in a really big way. And that is, you make your own water, or you're responsible to go and get that water. So you're very careful on how much water you use, because if you're in the middle of the ocean and you run out of water, you're in real big trouble. Electricity, you either make it or you store it. And the way you store it is in batteries. So you're figuring out what are you going to do, how much electricity are you using every day, And where are you gonna, how are you gonna replace it? Otherwise, you're gonna go without it. Your waste, you're managing your waste, right? Because we all produce waste, both trash and, our own personal waste. So I had to manage that. I had to learn how to do that. So I can tell you, I was sharing with Mr. Gene earlier. My wife and I, between the two of us, we used about 15 gallons of water a day. So that's 7.5 gallons apiece. That was for drinking, cooking, cleaning, and showering. And we had to keep track of how much water we used, how much was in our tanks, and then if we needed to, we were fortunate enough we had a water maker and we could convert salt water into fresh water and refill our tanks. With our electricity, we had solar panels. I had solar panels put on the top of the boat. And so during the day, we would make electricity. And normally, we're running refrigeration that's using it during the day and maybe some equipment for the boat. But you're recharging those batteries because overnight, that's when you're going to draw down from your batteries. You're watching everything, how many amp hours are going into the batteries, what's coming out, to make sure you're managing that. Waste, you have to hold it. Some waste, paper and so forth can't actually go into the ocean because it'll deteriorate, right? It'll be able to be broken down. But plastics, you have to hold on to. And so that gets put away on the boat and held, you can get to a place that you can properly dispose of it. And so we spent 4 years managing my life that way. And so when I move back ashore, if I hear a faucet running now, it freaks me out. Because for living for 4 years, you never let the water run, ever. It was always on, off, on, off. And I go to some of my friends' house, and I see they'll let the faucet run, and it just I can tell it makes me nervous. I start to get a little bit sweaty, and it's like, please shut that off. It's not my house, and I'm not going to tell somebody else how to live. But I will tell you this: every little change we can make makes a big difference if everybody does it, right? Or if a lot of people do it. We don't have to make big changes all at once. We can make small changes. And if we all do it, it'll make a big difference. And that's really what I think together we're going to do. And you're going to be responsible for, because quite frankly, this is going to be your world. We're going to be gone. You guys are going to be here. You're going to be running it. Somebody's going to have, maybe one of you is going to have this job or some other great job. You're going to, who knows, President of the United States or, Senator. But you're going to help lead this nation or lead a business. Or lead your family. And those are the challenges we're going to have. Things are going to change. Things you didn't imagine you have today, are going to be real in the future. And so be ready to embrace that change. We all saw it a couple years ago, right? When we had to shut everything down because of COVID. Everything had to change very quickly. Some people embrace the change and they've done really well. Other people, if you're fighting the change all the time, it takes a lot out of you. So look forward to the change that's going to come in your lives, embrace it, and seize the opportunities it's going to create, because that's what it happens. It creates every time something changes, it creates a new opportunity. So in business, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for opportunities, right? On how your company, your business can take advantage of the changing environment that's happening around you. But also we have an opportunity also to be good stewards of our environment, and we can do both easily. You had a question in the back, sorry.
As I'm sure you're well aware that a lot of families down here are low income, but I want to ask you, what are you doing about rising gas prices?
Okay, good question. What am I doing about rising gas prices? So how much control does government have over gas prices? Anyone know? Virtually none, right? So there's not much I can do, but what I can do is use less gas, right? It's a supply and demand issue. So everything in our world, right? In our world, capitalist society, is supply and demand, basic economic theory. So if there is less oil, that means the value of it is going to go up. People are willing to pay more for it. And we're seeing it also in housing, which is really important right now. People's rents are going up, housing costs are going up. It's a supply and demand issue. So there's not, as a government, that we can't control. It's the amount of use. So if we all cut back, and if you remember during the pandemic, people didn't drive because people had nowhere to go. Gas prices plummeted because all of a sudden you had a big supply and very little demand for it. Now we have, as we came out of the pandemic, production was shut down during the pandemic. It still hasn't come back to pre-pandemic levels. They stopped drilling. They stopped doing a lot of things as it relates to fuel. And as people start to make the transition to electric vehicles, that's also going to change that dynamic. But if you want to change gas prices right now, don't buy it. I mean, if you think about basic economics, what we're trying to do, the decision making we're making is whether we're willing to pay that price. And I don't know if you know, you guys have talked about price elasticity and how people are willing to change and how easy it is to get people to, change the cost or change what they're willing to pay for something. But if you stop buying it, if everybody stopped buying gas, the price would plummet again. But it's because of the rising demand and also unfortunately, what's happening over in Ukraine, right? When Russia invaded Ukraine, we in the United States said, no, we're not going to, we started with, we're not going to allow you to trade, which shut down a lot of their ability to sell their oil. But then we said, we're not going to buy your oil. Well, that's 10% of our oil demand comes from Russia. So that put another crimp on how much supply was available. So to answer your question, as government, there's very little other than the taxes. When we don't have the ability to control our gas taxes. That's done at the state. There's going to be a gas tax holiday in October, right before the election. Go figure, why would that happen instead of right now when people need that help? But so that will happen in October. Hopefully by then we won't need the gas tax holiday. But yes, sir.
Can you set like a ceiling limit for gas prices?
The short answer is no. Do you really want the government to come in and tell you what you can sell something for? If you own the gas, if that was in your gas station, do you want your government to come in and say you can only sell it for this amount of money? No.
Before Reagan, this is a regular occurrence.
Well, so we don't have that ability in local government. The state doesn't have that ability. So we'd have to change sort of our system to say that we would do those kinds of things, but we don't have price controls. It was done, they did do some price controls, I think, back in Jimmy Carter's days. Didn't work too well. Yes, sir.
You said you were involved in the business aspect. So is that correct? You're involved in the business aspect?
Yeah, I was in technology, information technology, so computers, hardware, and software.
And so like in detail, like what did you normally, like you joined the business and like were you like a big, I don't know the word, a big voice in it? I don't know.
So I started out as a programmer. I learned, I would write software for computers. From there, I went into sales, and then from there I went into sales management. And when I left my career, I had about, 400 people who worked for me. They were spread across the country, but that was because of hard work, studying. I mean, you never stop learning. You have to always challenge yourself to keep learning. So it was studying about the opportunities. And my job was really creating new business units. I ended up working for a large corporation, and I created new business units. I would see an opportunity. I would get the resources, meaning the people and the resources I needed, and I would create a new business unit. I'd get it launched, and then I would hand it off to somebody else once I got it up and running, it was producing, and I would leave it. And that was sort of what I did. I also trained a lot of our new associates. I trained hundreds of new people. They worked in my division. And my job, I used to call it feeding the beast, which was hiring people training them and pushing them out into the corporations.
So you said you saw opportunities and you took them, right? Right. So what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs that like, you know, they should take a opportunity?
So number one, calculated risks, right? Look at the risk, calculate, you're gonna fail. If you don't, you haven't taken enough risk, but you will fail. But learn from that failure, right? Take calculated risks, learn from your failure. Understand life is a journey. It's not a straight line. I thought I set goals for myself, right? I thought it was gonna go this way. But what you find out, and I think every adult will tell you this, is you're gonna find out you're gonna go sort of this way and maybe that way and this way. And then you eventually end up where your vision was, where you wanted to be, but you may not get there in a straight line, which you said you're gonna go this way, this way, this way. But I got sidetracked, I did different things. I never would have guessed I would be here today doing what I'm doing today, but I always knew I wanted to be involved helping people. I wanted to make that difference and help make people's lives better. So remember that. I think I have a couple other points I wanted to share with you.
And Vice Mayor, we do have the live stream and a few questions coming in from that as well.
Okay.
And Jennifer asked for it.
All right, I will be happy to take that. Kindness and respect for everyone, always. If we, haven't learned anything in the last 2 years, is how much we depend on one another. Everyone, whether, it's the doctors that were helping people who were sick, but the people who are working in the stores, making sure that we have things available to us, or the truck drivers. Everyone deserves our respect, and it'll come back. Some people think, well, you know what, I can be a real, can I say ass? Oh, then I can be a real hard ass, right? And people are gonna listen to me. But let me tell you what I found. If you're kind to people and you ask them respectfully, you get a lot more done than by just something from people. Because you know what? They'll do it the first time, but they're not gonna like it. And then they're gonna find the first opportunity to go do something else, and you've lost that investment you've made in human beings. Because our real capital is human capital, right? That's number one. So when, as a county commissioner, I'm looking at our staff trying to say, how do I make their lives better? And how do I keep them on the job? Because if I've got to hire somebody new to fill that spot, it's going to cost me a lot more money than taking care of the person that's there right now. Because you lose a lot of productivity. So remember, kindness goes a long, long way. And so does respect. And it's just a good way to live. All right, you have a couple questions? Yes.
So the sixth graders at Franklin Academy have been just flooding me with questions.
Uh-oh.
But I think the best question, and the one that sort of encompasses everything, is, does the county have a plan to tackle climate change as a comprehensive plan here in Palm Beach County?
So do we have a plan to climate change? So we have a resiliency department they do two things. They're looking at the impact of climate change as it relates directly to county facilities, meaning, how do we manage additional stormwater, sea level rise, and as we're building our buildings, are they built to green standards? And that, as it relates to sort of the global, we know we're personal stewards, and so our makes it our commitment to, we're number one, we want to be good stewards of our environment. So as you see, we talk about the trash and what we're doing with our garbage. We understand, do we have a direct goal per se? Are we part of the Paris Climate Accords and have set that as a goal, or carbon sequestration? Do we have goals for that? I have to say at this point, no. Is it something we're looking at? Absolutely. We're trying to navigate this in a way that, it's disruptive, but with disruption comes opportunity, right? but we're trying to be they're trying to help our community make its way forward without major disruption, meaning major costs coming all at one time, but trying to do a little bit at a time, as again, I said earlier, a little bit of change done by many people over and over makes a big difference. So we're coming up next, I think next month, we're going to be talking about single-use plastics. And, you know, are we going to, and as far as I'm concerned, we're going to ban them at our county facilities, which we control. So the vendors that work and have businesses on our facilities, we'll say, you know, you're going to phase out your single-use plastics. You're going to replace them with reusable type materials. And so those are the things we can mandate. I can't mandate, I'm not going to go to your restaurant and say, you have to do this. But hopefully by taking the lead as a county, and showing by example, people learn and say, yeah, we can make this change and everything's going to be okay. So, other questions?
If you have time, there are many. I think the other questions they had were, let me see here. I have so many.
There's one, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So for our young dreamers in this room who say, you know what, I want to be that entrepreneur and who have this interest in the environment and right here in Palm Beach County, what are some ideas that you might recommend that they could start dreaming about that has potential for building a business here, not big business, small business, that would help our environment?
So, something really big, or a big part of our lives has to do in Palm Beach County is water, right? We get a lot of it. It rains here, as we know, in the summertime, it rains a lot. So maybe, you know, things that relate to water management, right? Opportunities on how we manage that water, because that's something, how we clean our water, because that's things that we can export to other parts of the country and the world. We can be leaders in water management. There's some really interesting things. I met some folks. We have people growing coral here in Palm Beach County. I don't know if you know that. Yeah, I'm going to a birthday party for the 1-year-old coral that they grew. But there's, there's ideas out there. I mean, and that's an opportunity because, as we know, coral is really important to our ocean environment. It creates the habitat for lots of life in the ocean. So these folks have, come up with this, and it's small. It's a really small operation. Talk about a small business. It's like in a storefront in Northwood in West Palm Beach. And, you know, it comes in tanks. It's not huge. And they're growing coral. And that coral, then once it gets established, they're able to take it out and it gets planted out in the ocean and continues to repopulate our coral that is being hurt. There's a disease right now that's going through that's gone through the Caribbean that's decimated our coral. I have to say, fortunately, it was not a man-made disease. This isn't something we did. It's something that happened. But we're going to try and fix that. Same thing, restoration of our environment. We have a lot of plants got put into our environment here, and so we spend money restoring the environment, putting it back, and so that's another area. You know, if you're interested in plants and that sort of thing, and then anything that helps reduce waste, right? Packaging that we use, anything that would help improve, whether it's gas mileage or you want to look at things that are how we're going to move around. In fact, here's an interesting thing we just approved a few months ago. They're planning to bring a vehicle to Palm Beach International. It's it's electric. It flies straight up and down, but then it can go sideways. So it's vertical takeoff and landing, and they're all electric. And they're going to be able to go about 250 miles. And they're going to need people to service them. And so, I mean, that's because, as you know, gas-powered planes are really environmentally, they're not very efficient, right? So, anything else? Yes, ma'am.
I would say, wouldn't you encourage them to take every opportunity to talk to and get to learn different people, like follow up with us and see who we can help connect you to in the community? That's really important. Your parents might know people, so use every situation that you're in, to be kind and respectful and get to know the people, because everyone has a story and you may learn from them.
And feel free to reach out to your elected officials. We want to help you. I mean, I'm writing letters of support for people. I'm writing letters of support for nonprofits. We want to help you all have the best possible lives that you choose to have in going the direction you want to go in. And so reach out, whether it's, if you live in the city of Green Acres, you have a mayor and city commissioners. We all enjoy and want to help you succeed and have the best possible lives and make our community the best here. Yes, sir.
On the reaching out thing, do you have events like a rally per se where you come and talk to the public?
I try and get out to the public as much as I can, go out to community meetings and so forth. We do that. But, did I answer your email?
You did.
I did.
Just send them an email.
You can send us emails. We answer, I do anyways. I can't speak for other offices, but I certainly, and I read all my emails and I answer them all personally. Yes. Anything else? Yes, ma'am. Oh, this is my assistant, Virginia Savietto. I have to say, people think they do things alone. Nobody does anything alone. Everybody, we're all writing on the backs of the people who came before us. We're working with other people around us, and having good people around you, the smartest you can, the hardest working, make you look better and make you shine. And that's my staff.
Together.
But go ahead.
Good morning, buenos días. So I came from Argentina when I was 13. I was thrown into high school and, I had to learn a lot.
And then I thought, how can I make a difference? I had no idea. My parents were learning the language, working 100 jobs, and I was learning the language. I had no idea what I was going to do in college. It took me 6 years to get out of college because the English I learned in high school was not the same one I needed for college. So I wish Junior Achievement would have been around. Use all the resources, all of them. They're all here because I learned something a few weeks ago. It was awesome. It's not, if we fail, it's not lack of resources, it's lack of resourcefulness. So the resources, and this is my passion, is civic engagement. That's why I'm here with Vice Mayor. I checked them out, I followed them around. I was like, if I'm gonna vote for this guy, I better, be convinced, and he was amazing. But, so we have the whole state of Florida. That's one state out of 50. Guess how many counties do we have inside Florida? 67 counties. Palm Beach is the third county in Florida. So not only we have county commissioners that oversee the county, but then we have how many cities? 39. So all those cities, they have their mayors, they have the commissioners, but you may live in a city or you may not. So that's why we're here too, to actually make sure that you connect with the right elected official. Not only we have county, we have state, and we have federal. So, we do not regulate everything. So, you want changes, you find out who your state legislator is, and you write letters and get involved. And I ask questions, how can I get involved? You know what I did? I was going to different meetings and I was like, I like the environment, great. Hang on to the people around that, and then you can meet them later. Get a business card, call them later, follow up, and then join another organization and volunteer a lot. And then I promise you that purpose that's inside of you is going to connect you to the right people, to the right areas. I love civic engagement, so I got involved with everything and anything that has to do with voting, the League of Women Voters and all of them. So, follow your passion, ask questions, connect with people that know other people, because my dad used to say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it's so true. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And be the change you want to be. Be the change you want to be. Anything else? All right, I think we're right on time.
So I just want to quickly thank you so much, Vice Mayor. That was a wonderful presentation. Thank you for everyone tuning in, and a very special thank you to Leonard High School for hosting this Earth Day event, and Mr. Ramos Jean Did you have anything you want to say? Thank you for also helping make this possible.
I wanted to thank you all for coming. I specifically want to thank Ms. Cates as well and all the administrative staff for allowing this to happen. It is very important for our students to get exposure into learning about the environment in a different way. And this is one of those segments that they can learn about the earth, but also business and how it all intertwines. It's very awesome. Thank you so much.
I would like to just close, thank you, Dr. Armin. Thank you, the We Love You Foundation. It's about collaborating, it's about working together. Because you might have an idea that somebody else is already doing, find out what they're doing, connect with them, and get out there and partner, right? That's the best way to do it. You might have remembered him from Global Entrepreneurship Week, because he has a couple of businesses. He's a volunteer for the We Love You Foundation. It's not his paid gig. That's a volunteer opportunity that he's taking on for our community. So thank you, Fred, thank you.
Well, and, once again, with the advice. Lots of interesting stories and great information, but I want you to not miss the message that he gave. He gave three things, and it's funny because these are the three things that I try to go by. He said, surround yourself with good people, right? We tell students all the time, who are you hanging out with, right? Those kind of things, who are your friends, right? He talked about working hard, right? That's how you get to be successful, by working hard. And then he said to follow the golden rule, which means treat others like you want to be treated, right? You do those three things, and funny, that's right on point, exactly what I'm always telling, part of my graduation speeches and stuff like that, it's always the thing, so I appreciate that message from you because it's so true.
Absolutely. We've been down this road.
The key to success, I really believe it, so once again, thank you, Vice Mayor, and thank you for
Leonard High School.
And thank you, Jennifer and Norman from the School District of Palm Beach County for allowing